Hello, how is it going? It is Nate Mumford, as always, here, quarantining from my house in Danbury, Connecticut, home of the John Oliver Memorial Sewage Plant. That's right. I should have really gone like the sign for Halloween, but instead I decided to go with the Freddy Krueger outfit, which, of course, friends of mine from RCS voted on. And the scary part is that I had both the hat and the shirt as just my generic wardrobe. So, yeah, scary stuff. How's it going? I love Halloween. That's just me. So, how's it going? Hope life is good. Hope you're safe and healthy and all that good stuff. You know it's Thursday. You know it's 11 a.m. Eastern time. So, you know we're talking about RCS and all of our RCS products. Today, we have for you Zetta 520.1. That is our new version coming down the pipeline. We are looking for beta users right now for Zetta 520.1, as well as G Selector 490 and all of our other products as well. So if you want the latest and greatest and all that good stuff, let me know. Direct message me. Comment below, like V just did. Morning, V. Yeah. Thank you, Di. And so yeah, so if you want to be beta, let me know. If you have any questions, any particular workflows you want covered, feel free to comment below. You can always direct message us. As I say, every one of these episodes, I pretty much take the last hour after I do it, and I just kind of answer everybody's questions offline. So if you do have any questions for me, let me know. As always, if you are working from home, don't forget, we want to see your work from home setup, and we'll give you a nice little RCS goodie bag. And so you can direct message us those photos as well. You can always email us live at rcsworks.com. That's in there as well. So let's just dive right into it. We got a lot of features to showcase here. And essentially, yes, Zetta 520.1, as I said, we're looking for beta users right now. And then we're also going to release it very shortly. The holidays come around, as you know. And so usually when we have the holidays, it always gets a little interesting on how, engineers want to handle that. So just be aware, we acknowledge that and all that good stuff. So it's going to be released very, very shortly. So I have a lot of features to get to. You'll see it in the description of the video. These are just some of the features we have. And essentially, no particular order as much as kind of what I feel is some of the cooler features and going from there. Hey, Dave, how's it going? Yes, beta users, thank you. I will definitely reach out to you, Dave. So first things first, I am on my KRCS FM. I got some really cool stuff in the pipeline here, including some multi-site voice tracking that I just set up between my essentially WRCS FM and my KRCS FM. I might do this for a video later. You can actually do with S3, think of a national format log. I can have my RCS hot AC send to essentially one Zetta site. I can then site rep that or Zcast it to another Zetta site with S3. I can then voice track with a multi-site voice tracker back and forth. And there's some really, really cool stuff coming down the pipeline. So you'll see here, I'm kind of jumping around. This is my KRCS machine, which is linked to my WRCS machine. Both are on 520.1, but I thought I would just kind of showcase this guy today and give a little extra love. So let's go right here and break it down. So the first things first, you're going to notice, hey, this dark theme, right? I've been teasing it for a very long time. We still have the regular Zetta theme that's in there too, but this, of course, is our dark theme. And it's going to be hard to kind of explain without going through the subtle nuances, but we did an entire facelift of how Zetta looks like. So you can see kind of the different finishes. So I have a purple header here. I have a purple highlight. These are all color customizable, by the way. So if you notice, I click on there, you can see those header change. We changed all the colors there. You'll notice it's just slightly more crisp as well. Just a nice little facelift. Think of this version of 520.1 as a very, this is what our scalable version. So obviously Zetta's been around for over a decade, and we designed this to, of course, scale, like classic, how many stations can I have? How many hotkeys can I have? All of that good stuff. And so what we did is, because of technology, to be perfectly honest with you, is that we essentially expanded on that scalability for the next 10 years as well. So you'll see a nice little facelift behind the scenes here, right? So colors, pixels, all of that good stuff. You can always change things. Go up here to the right-hand corner, use your preferences, and there's that dark theme. And of course, the metal theme is the other one. And this is just the start, right? Very much like G Selector, where I talk about how we first introduce the jobs. After the jobs are created, then we go to specific jobs. So step one is getting the layout nice and neat, introduce Zetta Dark. Step two is going to be adding more themes. And of course, step three is always profit. So there's that dark mode right here. So there's obviously pretty straightforward in the sense that I can color customize everything. I have the dark mode on here too. Let's dive in some good stuff here. Let's start with the server side search. This is pretty cool. So you'll notice here that when I load up my library, you don't see much. And it looks alarming because I do have all songs here in the top right. But don't worry, I now have these options for title, artist, to essentially search for certain songs. So very simply put, I can go to artist and type in Beyonce, right? Hit search, and there's my 2 Beyonce songs in my library. I can also do kind of like a Google search, and I can combine words and phrases. So I can do like, show me crazy with the artist Beyonce. Now you might think, okay, well, that's pretty generic, right? But if you have a library of hundreds of thousands of songs, this plays a role here. There's 2 parts of this, right? Part 1 is going to be, I don't want to load everything. So there's a lot of performance enhancements inside of Zetta. By the way, Monica, James, Neil, guys have any questions, let me know. Thank you for checking in. And so the idea here is a very performance heavy version. We wanted to we looked at certain functionality and we kind of enhanced it and all of that good stuff. Hey, Neil, how's it going? Thank you for checking in from the UK. And so, yeah, so the idea here is that we don't want to load up hundreds of thousands of songs. We don't have to. And that's what we have for this kind of combined artist here. So if you're like a classical station, obviously title and artist come into play. Or if you have multiple versions of Beyonce and Crazy, that also comes into play as well. I know you're asking yourself, all right, that's great, but what if I want to see all my music? Well, there's an option here under the gear. Under advanced, I can click this gear and I can go to the client side search. So I can go back to where it was. And you'll notice that when I click on the artist, I just got my A to Z. That's all I have. Whereas if I go back to the server side search, I can type in, I'll just put in Butch Walker here. I'll do Butch. You can see it's all of the songs with Butch Walker, and then I can go from title as well on there too if I wanted to. Just close that X, bring it back to normal. And again, you're not going to see these songs here because there's no reason to load 100,000 assets if you don't have to. Now, where you can set this, config, system, right? There's going to be a asset types. This is where you used to create your own custom assets. Remember that? Well, there's a new column now called search method, server side or client side. You can see those are your 2 choices, and you can break it down by asset because let's be honest, if I have one asset in my live read, do I need to really have, server side search? You might not want to do that if you don't want to. So, so yeah, that's just some options there. Asset specific. You can also have the search method switchable. So just in case you have some users, that's some user rights and restrictions, obviously. So if you don't want to have your staff have the option to flip back and forth, you can uncheck that or check that box. And again, that's right here, this icon, client side, server side search. That's in there. Let's go to our, before I forget, we reorganized. If you right click on these assets, right? Normally you want to insert different assets and different metadata and all that good stuff. We reorganized everything, so it's a lot cleaner. So you can see here, the first tab is going to be essentially those generic, specific metadata you're looking for. And then when you go to the asset type, we then break it down even further, including audio marks. There's all the trim in, trim outs, the extra, that's all in there, station specific. Then you have participants and advanced and other aspects as well. So you can see we kind of reorganized this, just made it nice and clean. And again, the biggest thing here is we've been over a decade with Zetta. So obviously we always add enhancements to these versions. This is definitely a performance and a scalable version for the next 10 years. So we kind of organized that right there, just so you know. Let's do, boom, in no particular order, just so you know, there's a new system overnight system maintenance with cleaning up old notes and scripts that are not used anymore. There's also some new hotkey enhancements. Of course, in the previous version, when you right click here, you can see there is the set custom name. That was the last version of Zetta. Just want to make sure you're aware of that. But you'll notice there's some new behavior in the hotkeys. I'm going to do this very quick, and I hope you can see it via probably your Facebook Live, wherever you're watching for. And by the way, Neil, I am good. Thank you for checking in. I'm glad that you're good too. You'll notice if I'm going to click here, right? And I know verbally I'm trying to convey this to show you, but when you actually play with it, you'll be like, oh, that's what Nate was talking about. So when I click it, you'll see there's kind of an indent. See that? See how that kind of hotkey kind of presses? We had a couple requests for users who want to really know that they are pressing the hotkey down. And you'll see it kind of moves just like that, right? So that's a new enhancement there as well. And by the way, anybody have any questions you want me to elaborate on these things? Again, just let me know. I love when you check in. So like, for example, Charlene and is that, I thought it was Nathan Lee for a second, but I'm going to butcher your name. I'm sorry. And so, yeah, so that's the hotkey new features. That's in there as well. So the pressed hotkey, don't forget about the custom names. Let's jump to the multi-track editor modules. Multi-track editor. We added a couple new features here. I'm going to pick my station and I'm going to do RCS hot AC. I'm going to just drag in just 2 of these generic sweepers just because I'll make this nice and big for you, but I want to leave the hotkeys here intentionally for a second. So what you can do now is we enabled an auto snap feature. We had this a bunch of requests for this. So you'll see I'm going to drag left and right, and you'll notice it's going to have a white bar. It's going to snap into place. See that right there? And there's some settings here as well. So you can kind of say how quickly it gets to that point or not gets to that point. But you can see there's a little snap into place there, right? And of course, so if I just want to go over and say, hey, go match it up, boom, there's the snap. We're good to go. And of course, I can always right-click on these elements and do split. And I can move these up, down. Again, you'll see that white line. See that white line? I'll try to move my blue cursor here for you so you can get a better idea. See that? That's the snap feature. Then, of course, if I want to do a clip, let's just say this right here is what I want to highlight. Remember that orange highlight plays a very important role in the multi-track editor. Down below here, I have my mark in, my mark out, and my total of 2.7 seconds. Very, very cool, efficient tool here. I can drag this to a new clip. I can also, by the way, right-click if I wanted to and highlight, and then right-click, add a clip from there too. Now, before, you can always use clips, but they were kind of specific to the multi-track editor. Now, we can relabel them and say, like, I am new clip, right? And then do like a tab or an enter to save that value. And now I can drag that clip into a hotkey. Before, I would just highlight and drag it over, but now I can give it a name and then drag it over. So if you're working extensively in the multi-track editor, there's some really cool functionality here to where you could start having a clip list, organize it, title it, drag it into as a brand new quick record. And of course, I can play this from the hotkey just here. And as we just saw earlier, you can see the indent of when I'm playing it and all of that good stuff as well. Hey, Rich, thanks for checking in, as well as Josue as well, Jose. And so that's the multi-track editor. That's really cool. Again, the snap feature, also the clips, the drag and drop, and the renaming. You might notice there too, if I just kind of highlight this and drag it over, it's going to give me a quick record based on my title that I give it earlier in my system config settings. Whereas if I give a name here and drag it over, you can see quick record, I'm a new clip with all, of course, the following information from there too as well. Let's jump some cool stuff with Zettacloud-based disaster recovery. I'm not going to save my project here, and I'm going to jump from my KRCS FM, and I'm going to jump to my Chrome here, and I'm going to show you my Zettacloud disaster recovery environment. Now, I went ahead and already did this for time purposes, just so you know, and this essentially is my Zettacloud-based disaster recovery. This is site repped to my WRCS Zetta environment that's in our headquarters in White Plains, New York, in our demo room. And so if I make any changes, it's reflected instantly in my Zettacloud DR. And just to refresh your memory, that's audio, metadata, logs, SQL backups, automatically site repped to the cloud. Again, think of it as a separate market, but instead of linear, it's vertical in the cloud. And then when disaster strikes, I go to my phone. I have my own log information. I essentially go and enable Zettacloud-based disaster recovery. At that point in time, I can voice track, I can run the sequencer, and I can add elements to it, all of that good stuff. So one of the new features in 520.1, if you already have Zettacloud-based disaster recovery, is I can now voice track from Zettacloud DR to my local Zetta. Now, I already went and did this. I just picked my 12 o'clock hour. The key thing here is you're going to need to put an empty voice track. That's what you need to have both elements see what's going on. So once you see an empty voice track in the mix, that's what we send over and overwrite locally. So I just picked 12 o'clock here. I picked these two songs, did the voice track. You can see I just did a quick 2-second just voice track. I saved it. I jumped back over here to my WRCS FM, which is on that monitor. And you can see there's my voice track right there. There's the Nate Mumford VT. Of course, those settings are, again, defined in your system and config. If I double-click on this elements, you'll see it's the same 2-second, just boom. There's my voice track, and we're good to go. Why would you want a voice track on Zettacloud DR? Very simply put, you can bypass a VPN, which is really cool. So if you have, let's say, an outside voice tracker, you have multiple markets, A's, midday person is sick or whatever reason, especially with COVID these days, you need somebody else to quickly jump in a pinch, right? I can just have my generic Zettacloud-based disaster recovery login, and then I can simply log in with a password, bypassing the VPN, voice tracking, and that's going to land automatically in my local Zetta market. So that's really cool as well. So again, this is site rep to my Zettacloud. It is a URL. It's not an app. I'm not downloading anything anywhere. You can see I have my Chrome here. That's what I'm using. So this is on my local machine, my laptop here in Danbury, Connecticut. And this, of course, right here is my my WRCS FM in the demo room in White Plains. Again, bypassing that VPN, which is pretty cool as well. So moving down the line here, new features. Zetta to go. There's some cool new features in Zetta to go. I'm just going to log in here. This is my WRCS FM, Zetta to go. And what you'll see is a relatively new layout. So we added a bunch of new layouts here. I like this one because it has the nice little log module on the left-hand side. Rephrase that. It's got the on-air module that I can then, of course, counter with the logs and the hotkeys here. So you can see layout from the top. I have layouts. There's a couple new extra layouts in here. I believe it's been a while, but I think the 3-panel is new, and there's a couple other options in there as well. But the really cool feature here, you see this is my log module. I can now just click this and jump to, let's say, the system monitor, which is really cool. So no more do we have that edit layout button. So now we just have the actual modules here. Click the drop down, change it, and we are good to go, right? So again, just click on here, go to logs, and there's, of course, it's going to load up over there, and I can jump back if I wanted to, click this again, and go to something like the system monitor. So new layouts in Zetta to go. Ooh, you also might notice we have the dark mode. The dark mode is enabled by default, just so you know. So that's what we have now for Zetta to go. It's just a nice, sleeker look to it as well. And the server-side search is respected as well. So if I jump to the library, you can see here I still have that same Beyonce server-side search, which again, for performance is great, especially in Zetta to go, because again, I don't want to use the bandwidth to load up. If I have, let's say, 50,000 songs, I don't want to spend the bandwidth and the time to load 50,000 songs. Now I'm only loading up the songs that I want and the songs that I care about. That's in here. And then from there, we have some enhancements to the hotkeys. Again, don't forget, right click. We can set the custom name here. And brand new too, we have the hook enabled. Obviously, I have a sweeper here, but if I had a song, you can see the hook enabled option is now in there as well for these hotkeys, right? So that's in there too. Let me check here. Jose says, so Jose was saying all right, so Jose was asking for Zettacloud-based disaster recovery to work on the local database. So what you want to do, Jose, in that circumstance, he was asking kind of the functionality of Zettacloud DR in your local database, how they're connected. So obviously you want to have, if you're doing the voice tracking in Zettacloud, and I'll jump back here for you too, we have the voice tracker. So no matter what you do, if you're using Zettacloud in disaster recovery mode, you can voice track directly through Zettacloud. You don't have to worry about any kind of local database because in theory, you don't have your local database. That's the whole point of disaster recovery, or of course, just generic site maintenance. But if you're doing generic site maintenance, why would you voice track at that point in time? Engineers will tell you just no, we're not doing that. So what you can do here is you have empty voice track slots in your Zettacloud. So what I would do on my end, and just to show you how real time this is, WRCS FM, I have empty voice tracks just over here. I like to tell a lot of users, they have one of our clients really wanted to do comments on the fly. And so I told them, hey, you can put a comment up here, drag it over, and then of course you can right click on it, go to properties, and you can change the name of that comment if you wanted to. That's on there. But you can see there's an empty voice track slot. When I jump back over to my machine here, you can see there's an empty voice track slot right there that I can then control. So think of it as when you're in disaster recovery mode, you're working solely in Zettacloud DR. If you're looking to essentially record a client remotely or record a user, and you would have some type of empty voice track slot in your Zettacloud. And remember, if you're following the workflow here, Zettacloud is disaster recovery. Your local Zetta is your local Zetta. So you want to make sure if you're trying to utilize that feature, you in theory still have access, or at least someone has access to that local Zetta to drag an empty voice track. And I believe you can do that also, by the way, in Zetta to go if you wanted to as well. So in your case, Jose, if you wanted to have, let's say, I'm going to pick on everybody here too. We're going to pick on Neil from the UK. Let's just say you want to have Neil voice track your station, right? You would essentially give him a username in Zettacloud. That would be his email. He has to activate it through Okta for security. He then has his own password with his own email. At that point in time, you can log in to us.zettacloud.com. You, of course, have your own instance already created through us. And then you, of course, created Neil as a username. Neil would open it up. He would pick his station here under the playlist. He would see his empty voice track. He would click on it. He would load it here in the voice tracker, record his voice track. He would save it. When he's done doing the shift, he would simply just log out. And then what you would see on your end automatically is essentially Neil's voice track landing in your regularly scheduled log. All that makes sense, guys? Cool. Any questions on that? Let's see here. You can change the song or link. So, all right. So, yes. So, Jose was saying, can he change a song or position? So, I'm going to say no, because think of what the mode is. It's disaster recovery mode. But when you're doing the voice tracker, we are doing specifically voice tracking. You're going to want, Jose, you're going to make sure that he has the log he is to voice track. I prefer to think of that as the method. Like, for example, if I was going to just use this as an example, I'm going to put in just, let's say, songs and empty voice tracks in here. So, again, use that custom edit and then just kind of uncheck everything except for like voice tracks. And so when I'm a voice tracker, put links on there too. Come on. I'm clicking wrong here. So if I have just my songs here, right? I don't really want to have the ability to edit the log if I'm asking you, in this case, Jose to Neil, to voice track my shift. So you want to, as a program director, get the log where you want it to be for him. And then you want him to just go in there, see the voice tracks, record next. And again, there is that next button in here. So I can essentially go to load next shortcut. So I would essentially do my voice track, save it right here, jump to the next one, and then keep going along my way. That's also a possibility as well. So yeah, definitely don't think of this as of right now as kind of you can play with everything. Think of this as really an option for you to bypass the VPN to then have somebody voice track as well. Cool? Great. So Rich was also saying here, I love the question, guys. Keep them coming. On the subject of comments, can you add comments via G-Selector? And can I have G-Selector set the name of a 1-hour show for the now playing export? Let's see here. I'm from all right. So my school of thought of how I interpret these two products is I always say this: G selector is the brain, Zetta is the brawn, right? So you have to identify where you are in that workflow of what you want to achieve. And so you're saying I want to add a comment in G selector. Well, let me ask you a question. Why are you adding a comment? Right? Usually that's a directive for the on-air talent, correct? And so if that's the case, you want to kind of look at that towards if I'm a jock or a talent looking at Zetta, I want to essentially see what I'm supposed to talk about. And there's ways around that. You can do like a break note or something in G Selector and schedule it in there. There's definitely some possibilities there. I worked with one of our clients. We did live links. Just to summarize here, and let's see if I can do this quickly on the fly. I will open. I'll do my local G selector for that one, as I have G selectors and Zettas everywhere. So I want to see which one I want to do. But what I would do in that circumstance, Rich, is do a live link. Remember, the live link is essentially it's an asset with no audio that can be converted into a actual voice track itself. And that setting is station specific. I'm not mistaken here. It's usually one of those set it and forget it settings. So bear with me here. Yep. That's just my. Oh, yeah. I forgot. I put it in my Halloween mode for my G selector. I'll get back in a second. Sorry. You can tell my brain is all over the place. Let's go back here to, let me finish my thought here. Sorry, guys and gals. Let's see here. It's is it playback? Yes. I'll make this nice and big for everyone here. So I love this feature. I'm a programmer. I built like 4 radio stations using G Selector. So when I saw this new enhancement, I absolutely loved it. I can't say enough good things about it. Treat live events as empty voice track slots, voice tracks. So what this setting is, again, station specific, is it allows you to essentially tell your talent what to talk about and then allow them to voice track over if they wanted to. And then don't forget, if you don't need it, it's going to be skipped over anyway because there's no audio associated with it. So if we jump to our very spooky, by the way, G selector, I put this on just for today for Halloween. I told you I love Halloween. Notice, by the way, the delightful skulls and bones that are here. I just love this theme. And what we want to do is go to linker, and then I'll create just a brand new asset here to show you exactly how this plays out. But if I go to this plus on here, you will see there's now a live checkbox right there. See that? And so what we did is we essentially created a bunch of live sweepers. So I just have live news 1, 2, 3 here. But then, of course, if we have the live sweepers on there, who's to say I can't go to my related links? Linker, related links, hit the plus, and now I have song and link relationships. So now I can say, well, let's just say you always have a power recurrent into a voice track position or a talk position into new music. And you know that you always want to have new music, right? And let's say there's a reason why you have new music. There's some artist coming to town. There's a new album on the way, and you want to tie that link to what's going on. Well, in that case, I can create the song to link relationship with the live link. And then now, aside from your normal generic positions in the clock, you can, in addition to, create a live link that tells the jock exactly what they want to talk about. I went on a rant there. I'm sorry, Rich. I hope that makes sense. But that is some really cool features that if you didn't know it exists, it's really, really cool. Yeah, right, Neil? Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Thank you for bearing with me. I appreciate you guys appreciate that. I really do. And so, yeah. So let's see here. So we did that. Let me go back to my my list here and make sure I didn't forget anything. So just to recap here, get your last minute questions in as well. If you want to enhance or elaborate on any of these features, let me know. The server side search, we covered that. Again, you have the artist and title. You can search compounded words there. You can also turn it on and off if you choose to with this little gear, client side versus server side search. We reorganized the library headers. So again, you right click on here, insert, you'll see there's all these new, nicely organized elements. And then from there, I can have extra or station specific and all that good stuff. They're all nice and organized. They're actually reflected, by the way, with over here. If I double click on an asset, and open up the metadata card, if I double click correctly, you'll see that pops up. Those fields are organized by here, right? And then also organized by, let's say, station specific. I go to a Nate FM. And then they're also, so you can see their station specific setting for attributes, this over here, the extra tab. They're all organized by this window, just so you know. There is science for the Zetta team. Kudos to those guys, by the way. They are very, very smart guys. So you can see like the extra tab, that's the overall length. It's all kind of tied together on what's going on there. Let's see. There is, just so you know, there is a new GPIO called Spot Block Child. That's in there as well. There's a lot of cool things you can do with that. So just so you know, there's a brand new GPIO called Spot Block Child. Oh, the published names. Starting to show this. Okay. So if I go to mini logs, open up my baseball mini log, and I want to go and essentially take my assets here, and I'm going to shift click, and I'm going to go to my publish feature that's in here. I'm going to export my podcast, my local destination. This course was covered in previous RCS lives. You can search for them in our archive. Brand new here, you can change the name of the publish feature in the podcasting world. So, for example, if you want to export it somewhere and change the file name, you can do that here. Don't forget, also in, I think it's 4.19.2, we released the automatic publish feature just because it's Halloween. I'm in a delightfully good mood. I like to go to my macros. That's where I like to go and grab my extra commands. It's the way my brain works. And I can have my extra commands here, and I can go down here to the task. I'm put in publish, and you'll see there's 3 new publish things. I've covered this in a past video, but just essentially you have events, mini logs, and shows. The events, of course, is anywhere in the log itself. So you can essentially say what station, start time of the day, end time of the day, the start and the end of the file itself. And you can essentially say from, let's say, from 2 to 7, go ahead and export that into a podcast. And then, of course, you can change the file name or just set it automatically. And that could be, by the way, in a hotkey, right? So let's just say you have 5 stations in your market, and you want to have every morning show has their own best of morning show, or just they take this in the log and export it, or even you have a voice track and you take the show, the voice tracks and export it. You can take this publish, right? Drag it to a hotkey. Well, technically I would create a macro first. So I take all this, put into a macro, take the macro of all 5 automatic publish execute commands, following me here, put it onto a hotkey. So it looks something like this, where sync the time there, but there's a couple options here too. When I have that macro here, of course, if I jump to my local Zetta to go, I still have that same macro here. So I could fire remotely all 5 of my automatic publish features to the podcast and so on and so forth. So you can see we start to compound these workflows into not only automatic workflows, but also remote automatic compound workflows. Get all that? So yeah, that's a really, really cool feature. So again, that was changing the name of the publish. Going down my list here for my notes. The dark theme, of course. There's some also color options. Again, just so you know, you can see I said I had purple here. There's some nice options in regards to coloring scheme, just so you know. The hotkeys press we talked about, Zettacloud-based disaster recovery, and adding the voice track, option to voice track to bypass the VPN. That's in there. Multi-track editor, snap into place, as well as renaming the clips and then dragging and dropping the clips into the hotkeys. And then Zetta to go, we have the brand new layout as well as the enable hooks as well. So last call for questions. I apologize for going on tangents, but I love to go on tangents when it's from you guys. So let's see here. I'm just going to quick little list down here. Rich, Neil, Jose, everything good? Let's see what you said. So any chance I can say spots? Okay, so Jose was asking for the automatic publish feature. Can he do just everything in the log except spots? I don't believe so. I think what that is essentially you're looking at everything in a nutshell, right? So by definition, and again, I'm going to go to my tools, no, configuration, macros here. So Jose was saying, and I hope I'm saying Jose right, by the way. Please correct me if I'm saying it wrong. I genuinely apologize. I'm going to pick my station here for right now. I guess I really technically have to, but execute command, there's a publish here, right? So by default, we have export log events, export mini logs, export show. Of course, the log events say, give me all the log events for that particular day. Now, think about that for a second. Give me all the log for that day. That's the idea. You don't want that? Well, then we have, of course, mini logs and shows. So what you could do is, I'm going to close this for right now. I would go to my filter, right? Do, let's say, all event types, or do the custom, as I said. So maybe go and do just songs for right now. I personally would go drag over here to my my mini logs. I would create a brand new mini log here, and we'll call this log no spots, right? I'll drag this to my right. Again, control will give you the option to not dock that. Remember, so there's a docking feature. If I hit the control key, see that docking feature will disappear. Whenever I work in these kind of mini logs and the macros and those side windows, I always use my control feature there. So this was the day, right? So I already had gone through in the custom. I had already edited all the things I want and don't want, right? And then from there, I would highlight everything. And again, Windows Shift click. That's what I'm doing. Just Shift click. I would highlight all the elements. Then I would drag these elements into my mini log. And then I would have the automatic export of the mini log assigned to a hotkey and a macro and all that good stuff. So that will give you what you want to achieve by bypassing the log, but drag and dropping that into the mini log itself. Jose, so good. So pronunciation is good. Does that make also sense, Jose? That sounds good? That's how I would achieve that same thing, but work around. So, all copied there. Brilliant. Yep. Good. I think we're good there. So super last call for questions or comments. Thank you guys so much for checking in. As always, I love doing this. Next Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern time, we're going to do some programming in G Selector, talking about some holiday scheduling, talking about essentially how you can take a Christmas station and then also do some fun stuff with end of year countdowns, repeating the schedules, and a lot more with that too. So that's going to be great. That's going to be next Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern time as part of our RCS Live series. So as always, beta users, I'm talking to you, Dave. I will be reaching out to you. Beta users for 520.1 or for G Selector 490, let us know. If you have any questions in remote workflows, anything you want covered, any questions you have about your particular situation, direct message us. Let us know. I'm usually on there too. As I said, I usually spend about kind of like an hour after these, kind of going through questions and making sure that I answer things correctly. And if you ever watch this after it's not live, we have a full archive of all of our videos. I break them down by product. There's also high quality videos on rcsworks.com/rcs-live. That's in there for you too. And we've got some great topics coming down the pipeline, just so you know. So cheers, Neil. Thank you so much, guys. I will see you next Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. It's RCS Live. Happy Halloween. Be safe and all that good stuff. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye, everybody.